Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never ending question: what makes people say, why not? Well, hello guys, and welcome back to Why Not. So today is the topic I'm going to talk about got, I suppose, inspired when I was on a different podcast with Anna Stefan, and we were talking about the fitness industry basically as part of it. And everyone, I think, around me by now knows that I'm a personal trainer. I've worked in the fitness industry for 8 years. And while it can be incredibly great, I also consider it a bit of a shit show. And I literally said that in the podcast that the fitness industry is a shit show. And there's lots of reasons for that. And I think the fitness industry has a lot to answer for when it comes to people hating gym, hating exercise, feeling shitty about themselves. And, all in all, it ruins it for itself. So anyway, this is why I want to talk about that today, because look, we're going to get into some hard realities about the fitness industry. And I'm going to focus this whole way on how it's actually damaged people's health and fitness, um, as opposed to improved it. And again, I do think there's a lot of PTs, a lot of fitness, wellness practitioners out there who actually are fighting the good fight and trying to reverse this. But again, there's just so many dark sides to the fitness industry, I think, as well. And I don't think I'll be the first to say it. I don't think I'll be the last to say it. So I think today we're going to focus on 4 areas that I think the fitness industry has just completely gotten it wrong and really just ruined it for many people, I think, is the best way of saying it. So first thing, and I actually mentioned this as well in the other podcast, is quick fixes. Now, I don't think that's solely the fitness industry. And I've talked about this before. I've said, because of Amazon, because of other delivery places, or food delivery, everyone kind of wants everything yesterday. And it's kind of the same with our health, which isn't really possible, because I think a lot of people don't think about the fact, they decide they want to get fit and they want it to happen overnight, but they never think about the fact that them getting into the position they are, be it like overweight, be it unhealthy eating, be it bad habits around alcohol or anything like that. And by the way, I don't believe in the whole good or bad food thing. But what I'm saying is, you can be in a cycle where you're not eating much nutritious food, you feel like shit, and I think a lot of people decide, I want to change all this now, and I want this fixed like this yesterday. So they go on these extreme diets, or they feel like they have to throw everything out. And again, the fitness industry does prey on this. You see every time I see the word transformation, I cringe, because I don't really believe in that as a word, because it kind of gives this lie that it's making a better version of you or something. I don't know what it is, but also like you have them, it's like 6 week transformation, 8 week transformation, sometimes they're as far as 12 weeks, and they're doing these mad promises, you might have a six-pack by the end of it, or you're going to drop 10 pounds in 2 weeks at the start of the transformation, and you have all these people holding signs of how much they lost. And yeah, that's great, but how often do we see these people 6 months later, or are they in their third transformation because they've rebounded again, or you know, they're very extreme, they're very grueling a lot of the time. You don't get to eat anything that brings you joy, if you want to quote unquote do well. Um, and many of these are not sustainable. And the problem is people go in these extreme things, kind of thinking that, well, if I get to the end of it, I've fixed all my problems. But it also kind of tends to lead to like binging behaviors, or, you go all out. The hardest part, if you have like a fitness goal, be that losing weight, gaining muscle, is the maintenance after. And I think a lot of people forget that. And they're so focused on the initial weight loss or, change, that they don't actually consider that they're going to have to be a certain way to keep this. Like, if you want an extreme weight loss and you go through this, do you want to live like that for the rest of your life? Which I think most people don't. Like, I certainly don't, for instance. I have a very boring, balanced approach to how I eat. I have written blogs before and emails about how, like, I could actually be leaner, but I also like being happy. So I think there is a trade off with everything. And, you know, like, all these things, they're not only unsustainable, but they're harmful in the long run, you can have, if you have lose weight quickly as well, like, you can cause nutrient deficiencies, metabolic, or sorry, muscle loss, and like it just kind of slows down your metabolism, which is, it's a hard and scientific thing to explain, but like, your body does not want to lose fat because it's got stores. So when you reduce to a certain amount of calories, as your body size reduces or your body gets used to this amount of calories, you're going to have to keep reducing it. And at some point, something's got to give, which can be incredibly, like, obviously, there's only so many calories you can reduce to, and that just is going to make you feel awful if you keep reducing calories constantly, or you just won't want to do it and binge. So I think it's really important to acknowledge this, um and as well, I find a lot of these transformations, there's a lot of intensive exercise, which is, you know, not always great for everybody. You can end up with like completely burnt out and not want to see a gym again. And the amount of people I know say hate the gym, and I wonder if it's anything to do with this. But you can get injured, as well, and that's one way to end your fitness career quickly and feel crap about yourself. But this is gonna sound really boring, but we actually want to see life like as a lifelong journey. Like, I know you see people saying it's a lifestyle, or you know it's an obsession, or, well, obsession maybe not be the right word, but like, it is a lifestyle. Unfortunately, staying fit and healthy is a lifestyle. It's something that, if you want to maintain a certain body weight, a certain muscle density, a certain aesthetic, like, which again, there's nothing wrong with aesthetic goals, but they don't carry you very far. A certain strength level, a certain like feeling in yourself, feeling good. It could be confidence, it could be just feeling strong, it could be that you just eat well and have good energy. Like, this is something that you have to do for life. It's not a 6 week, 8 week plan. It's a, as I said, it's a lifelong thing. It's a lifestyle, as cringy as that might sound. But I think as well, having a lifestyle like that, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a glass of wine, or, having a takeaway as well. Like, that is part of the lifestyle, and that's what makes it enjoyable and makes it being like something that's like sustainable, basically, not necessarily enjoyable, but like it does become enjoyable because it becomes easy. But it's that sustainability is boring, but you enjoy it when you're doing it, if that makes sense. Another big issue, and I think again, many people are easily drawn to these because they tend to be cheap. Um, but one size all fitness plans are really not for everyone. There is no one size all. Everyone is different in different ways, and that's okay. Generic plans aren't always great. Not to say that they can't work for someone. For instance, it's you can sell like, and you can have plans that are, I say generic, but like, they're incorporating some similar basic exercise that anyone can do, or maybe different levels. Again, the advanced level is up to you to interpret or decide. And it's the same, there's diet plans, people, you've heard all the keto warriors, I don't need to go into that. But if anyone's saying this will work for you and this will be like a holy grail that'll sort out your life, that's a massive red flag. You know, it might not. Um, yes, there are certain diets that work well for people. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do keto or you shouldn't fast or you shouldn't this, that, and the other. Like, there's scientific backing for all of them for different ways, but I don't think just because your friend does it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just because this ripped bodybuilder who's probably actually on steroids does it and says this is how I do it, it's going to work for you. We need to take a lot of different things into account, um, including the fact that everybody is different. Our body process systems different, even not even just in an individual level, on a level of if you're male or female. Things are different. Like, it's a fact that women they can, but not healthily, get down to a same body fat level as men, and that is because of the reproductive system. And if you get to a certain point, you can lose your period, and that is not a good thing. It's not a blasé, oh, I don't do that anymore. It can cause a lot more damage. So there's plenty of podcasts out on that, you know. Um, but the thing about it is, it's not just our metabolism, it's not just our build, it's not just whether we're male or female or whatever. It's also like lifestyles, goals. Um, for instance, these cookie cutter programs might be correct, and so much that you might get a six pack by the end, or you might do this. But the person getting the six pack might have to be able to train 7 days a week, twice a day, might not have time if they have a full time job and a family, or are working shift work, or, you know, have absolutely crazy hours. Like, this might not be possible. And I think the danger is when people take on these programs like this, they, again, it can be like those transformations. They can commit to it for a certain amount of time, but they can't keep it up. And that is going to mess with not only their physical health, but their mental health, because they'll feel like they're failing and they're like, why can't I do this? Other people can do it. Um, and different styles of programs as well aren't always appropriate for people. Um, there was a trend for a while there, like they hit the high intensity interval training, which is not always appropriate for everyone. There's a lot of high impact in that. If you've got joint issues, you shouldn't be jumping around because it's going to aggravate them. Um, if you're a beginner, there's a lot of training programs that might not be right for you. You might need a generic, boring program. You will get much better results from a generic, boring program because you'll be able to do it firstly, and beginner gains are like the goal. But you know, it's not for everyone. Like, as I said, the high intensity if you've got joint issues, you can end up injuring yourself or aggravating those issues, and then you're back to square one. Or if you're a beginner, again, you could also injure yourself. A lot of these as well, you've no way of checking to make sure you're doing it right. Technique is very important as well, for more reasons than aesthetics, but for leading injury. And there's so many different things. You see so many people just kind of trying to do things. They're trying to run before they learn to walk, and I think that's a big impatience. Again, going back to our getting everything yesterday, wanting it now. And it all just ties back into that, which is completely understandable, but also it's not healthy. It's the exact opposite of health. If you're going to end up injured or burned out or hating every minute of everything, like you shouldn't dread working out. Like it's okay to not want to go, but like if you're like if filling you with dread and afterwards you don't feel good, there's a problem there. Um, I think it's really important to realize that and be okay that not everyone's going to want to train all the time. Like I myself regularly do not want to start training, but when I do, I'm happy I've done it. But if you're not getting that at all, I think that you need to reevaluate this, and we just like the fitness industry just needs to stop selling that there's one perfect way to get fit. I think personalized plans and nutritional advice is much more beneficial. Of course, I'm going to say that I'm a PT, I sell the stuff, but one size fits all is not working. And if you are sitting there going, but I did this before, and I bought this thing up thing and it worked and it was great, are you still in the shape you did when you did it? Because if not, it didn't work. Are you at the goal you want to be when you did that? Did you reach that goal you wanted to be at? Yeah, think about that because it didn't then. It absolutely didn't. Um, if you have to keep repeating it to try and stay where you want, and you don't enjoy doing it, it didn't work. It's just simple. Um, Here is the big one, and this is obviously a massive social media issue. And I think the tide is changing. I do believe so. And I know myself when I first started as a PT, you absolutely had to have a certain look, or PTs get judged on how they look, I think. I think, as I said, this is changing. I think people in the wellness industry can come all in different sizes, and people are acknowledging that. I thought the amount of content around different women's bodies of that during the Olympics and how athletes come in all shapes and sizes was phenomenal, and it really opens up the fact that there is more to just being skinny or just having a six pack, or and also this goes for men as well, because you have different sizes of men. And again, this came up in the podcast, we were talking about like how women's is all about being less than and being smaller, and men is more about being bigger, and they do have their pressures too. I think they do, like you should be muscle bound and have a six pack and all these different things, whereas women have to be skinny and lean and maybe now have a six pack. But I understand there's pressure from both, but I do feel it does come more in the women, but that's just part of the culture, I think, of life. But I think it was great, like as I said, and then the Paralympics as well, to see people who quote unquote shouldn't be able to do things. Like, oh my god, it's so impressive seeing people compete in so many different sports, and you're like, they wouldn't have been even given a chance a few years ago. So those athletes, I think, are almost more impressive. But what I said is it gives you a show of all the different types of people there are out there, different body sizes, different body shapes, and how they can all be athletes and fitness inspiration. And I think it was just unreal to see, and I really really enjoyed that part of the Olympics. um but what we see 90% of the time in the fitness industry, unfortunately, is these kind of shredded fitness models or airbrushed influencers. And of course we got those before and after from the transformations, but it really just shows you, like, it does sell. Look, let's say, like, sex sells. We're not going to begrudge it. And if you have a certain body and it's going to get you sponsorship and paid, of course you're going to do that. But a lot of people aspire to look like, or these models, or these fitness models, male and female. And of course, when you look a certain way, you can market that so they can sell their program based off how they look. They might have, again, as I said, there could be influencers with loads of time to do all the work. They might have naturally good genetics. Some people do. Some people just look better than other people. It's a fact. I am quite muscular, but I'm also 5'2", so I'll never be model. Um, and there's nothing I can do about that. But you know, some of them are on steroids, some of them are on enhancers, some of them have eating disorders, some of them have a whole plethora of things that you're not going to see on social media. But you know, this portrays what you should look like to be fit, and this puts a lot of pressure on people. And I think many people, as I said, in the fitness industry, you are basically, your body is your business card, which I don't agree with. But people see an aesthetic they like, and they want that, so that's why they go for that person, as opposed to following someone and getting involved, working with someone because they like their vibe. I think there's a bit more of a push to that. People who are sick of feeling shitty about themselves in different programs are moving away from that. But again, the tide is slow. It's easier to look at someone and go, that's the body I want, and I'm going to work with them, you know? Um, like, often as well, the images, they may be photoshopped, they may be like professionally taken. Different tricks like lighting, oil, um, coming off the back of an extreme cut, all these different things can really help people look the way they want for a to sell things basically. There's a lot of editing that goes into these things as well. And like, many of these people are, the state they're in for a photo shoot generally is temporary. It's not something you can hang on to. You can't, the same thing with bodybuilders. They'll tell you, like, the show fitness they're in for, they can't stay like that. It's it's a temporary thing. But people see all these photos because you're only going to post the good photos. And it gives you this like false standard that you should feel like you need to attain, I think. Um, and it also helps create body dysmorphia, because if all you're seeing is these beautiful bodies, and you're not seeing that when you train, it can really mess with your head. It can make you think you don't look good. It can make you think you look horrible. That creates an unhealthy relationship with your fitness, and body dysmorphia as well is a really big thing. It's starting to creep into men more as well, and I blame social media for this. Like, women already have had issues like that. Like, before it had been more eating disorders, and but body dysmorphia is a real thing now, where you think that you look bad or you don't look a certain way, and you can't see the forest for the trees, that like you could be really, really ripped, but you're still like, oh no, I'm tiny. And this has a lot to do with social media as well. I actually did a whole episode on body dysmorphia. I'll link it in the show notes. And it's a really, not interesting. It's kind of a sad, but it is interesting, but it's sad how like the social media has really definitely affected us. Personally, I think fitness should be about health and not aesthetics. Aesthetics tend to come with it. Once you stop focusing on the aesthetics, they tend to come. I think it's really important to have a goal outside of aesthetics, especially when it comes to fitness. And the last one I want to talk about here is overcomplicating it as well. I know we kind of said cookie cutters a minute ago, which kind of simplify it, but sometimes they simplify it, sometimes they're fucking mental. But overcomplicating it is a really, really big issue in the health and fitness industry. And another big red flag is if you see a supplement, or, and again, I've said this about diet or workout plan, and it's must have, or yeah, we're we've got miracle foods or superfoods, or There is loads of fitness wearables as well. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm a big fan of my Fitbit. I'm in the cult. I'm okay with that. But if anyone is telling you, or if they're going, here's how I do it, and you can do it too if you do this exact thing, or this is the only way to get this way, or you must have this supplement, or anything like that, it's a red flag. Because as we talked about earlier, people are different. Nothing's going to work for everybody, but also they're trying to sell you something. No one needs any of this. Like, you don't. Okay, you need to eat protein, carbs, fats. You need to have some form of activity, but um you do not need this magical fitness gadget. You do not need this supplement. It's not going to change your life. It might change your life for the worst. You do not need this workout plan. You do not need these bollocks gadgets to tell you that they're going to like make you lose fat by nothing. Or this 15-minute workout plan that if you do this, you'll have a six pack, and it's not going to happen. Okay. The ads wreck my head. And as I said, none of it is they love to use big words as well, and scientific, or sometimes the amount of stuff that uses a scientific backing or something, but it's actually just kind of pilfered some little bit of information that suits them. And because of that, it's easy to manipulate a lot of data, because not everyone's going to read scientific papers and be able to discern it themselves. um to be honest, the real magic, I think, is if you eat balanced meals, move your body regularly, sleep. This is a big one. People sleep. Um, like, you can make a huge difference. And when I say move your body regularly, that doesn't mean the gym. This can be walking, eating balanced meals, make sure there's protein, carbs, fat. You're keeping yourself full and satiated. You're feeling good. It just makes a massive difference. And by confusing people, people make money because they think, oh, it can't be that easy. That's it. Like, the thought is always, it can't be that easy. It is that easy. It really is that easy. So it's if it feels like it's too good to be true, it probably is. Um, this overall overcomplication of things sometimes makes everything feel inaccessible and overwhelming, and you need to pay for the play. And look, having a PT or having someone in your corner for accountability or booking classes can really make a difference. But you don't need to spend hundreds of euros on supplements, apps, fancy equipment just to get in shape. Like literally walking, strength training, eating whole foods can do wonders. It's crazy. But don't let these marketing people tell you they won't be happy about it. Um, and look, overcomplicating things really does push people away. And again, it's more damaging to people's health than it is helping them. So I think it's really important that we try and change that and really change the tide of it. Um, but yeah, I just look, there's a lot of good things to the fitness industry. I do want to say that. But these kind of are things that irritate me about the fitness industry, and they have for a long time. As I said, easy things: eat balanced meals, get active, find something you enjoy. I've said this so many times, it never has to be the gym. Just make sure you're finding something you enjoy. And it really helps if you want to try and stay healthy. Like, not everything they do is bad. Remember, there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good people out there. Fighting the great fight, doing things where they actually want to help people or make the fitness industry or make healthy eating more accessible to people. But again, there's good and bad in everything. And just we need to just be aware of these things and look for those red flags when we are embarking on a fitness journey, I think is a good thing. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you find it helpful. bit of a ramble, bit of a rant. I think it's something just is really like close to my heart, something that really irks me. I know personally, even I was probably a bit of one of these people when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've realized the differences. I've gone through the issues with my body. I still do from time to time. I've gone through issues with eating, diet culture, overtraining. I know all these things. I've been through it. So if I can help someone else avoid it, I really want to help that as much as possible. So I hope you did enjoy this, and I hope it gave you some things to think about. I know I've done maybe similar episodes before, but it's always good to refresh it in our mind because the fitness industry is fucked. I'm joking. There's a lot of good people in there. There's a lot of good people who are doing it for the right reasons and not just to make money. It's just about finding those people. And if you want to follow me, you will find me on Instagram and TikTok. The is my the words. My Instagram is at strong the saddle with an underscore at the end, and my TikTok is at strong the saddle. No underscore because I got there first. And if you want to find out more on my website, you will find me at www.chrissyhawkins.com. So thanks again for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.